Another 7900X on a B650M gaming. Plus Wi-Fi, I guess. Didn't even have to go open box this time. It was on sale. I had to wait for shipping instead of the regular, 1 or 2 day shipping, but it's alive! And in the name of consistency and easiness, and this RAM just being awesome, I stuck with a T-Create 6000 CL30. I'm running it at its 48 default. So we get this all set up. I had to disconnect our record breaker here, but that's okay. We're gonna do a little test for a friend and see what's up with GPUs on these things. So, thought that was kind of cool with the aluminum heatsink and the lighter cooler. Looks like it does have a different VRM setup, and then it does not have the top heatsink. And definitely, I can't remember exactly, but I want to say that's half or a third of the amount of coils or inductors there. So, which that should be RAM and iGPU. I need to get the layout for this one. I don't know the layout on this one. But that's it. That's our next B650M. So it's kind of cool counterpart, silver, silver, black, black. And well, if you're watching this, you probably watched me do it a dozen times. So I'm just gonna set this up and see what it do. Alright, well, I got it to post, so I have not installed Windows, I have not updated the BIOS, any of that. I just want to make sure it works. So I was able to get into UEFI, and so we'll get that set up in a bit. I'm going to run that one in, same as the Aorus, say that 12 times fast. And in the essence that I'm going to use the board manufacturer's Windows software. There's actually had pretty decent amount of variables that you could adjust to include a lot of the VDDR stuff. So which most board manufacturers don't allow that through Windows directly, but usually have to make an adjustment and then reboot, if that is available. So. I really like that Gigabyte software. I think it's called like Gigabyte, Command Center or whatever, Control Center or something of that nature. But we're gonna get those on the same PSU, and they will go behind my gaming monitor. That's kind of our airflow tunnel where the CPUs used to be. There's 2 CPUs left from the old CPU farm, but all the 5900s have migrated to GPU mining rigs. So I grabbed my paint pen and went ahead and marked up these splitters and the cables. So since this rig is off, I am going to use this for multi-GPUs. So I'll use these splitters to test multi-GPUs on the B650. So I have a friend who was having a hard time getting more than 2, and I'm brand new to AM5, so AM4 I can get 10 cards, no problem, almost any board. And but I do have a friend who's a system architect for the state. He's built some pretty revolutionary things for the state. But we were having a conversation briefly, and he seemed to remember something about multi-GPUs being a pain on here as well. So we're gonna find out. We're gonna do some experiments and see what we can do. So we have our M.2 splitter, and then we're gonna try this splitter. And so my main goal is to get 4 cards, and then we'll see if we can go above that. But if I can get 4, I'm gonna call that good, because I do have some other things to experiment with too. But if it's pretty easy, we'll just see how it goes. So we'll move this whole rig to the garage. It will never know that anything changed because it's already off. So we'll unplug all these, use them, plug them back into the exact same ports, and then we turn that on. That rig will never know anything happens. And we'll use those cards on here. So let's see if we can get more than 2. Yeah, and then we'll get set up on that, get those back there. So I was able to get a, I don't know what you call them, monitor hanger stand thing. But anyways, I wanted to free up some desk space. I seem to run out of it quite a bit. It has nothing to do with my housekeeping skills or anything like that, with just stuff laying everywhere. Clearly, it was the monitor. But anyways, that did clear up some space, so. We got all of our GPUs back there, making a little bit of a wind tunnel, and we'll push it out the window come, well, about a month. We should be able to open the windows here in about a month. We cooled down, but we're back into the mid-90s every day now. So no complaints. It's not 100, so that's a win. All right, well, let's stop rambling, and let's do some hardware stuff. Woohoo! Hey, what's up, man? Don't know your name, but my kids like me, and they give me things. So that's 102 on the heat output from these two. So let's say that puts our ambient probably somewhere in the mid-90s. So this is rig number 6, which I called rig number 5, like a goofball throughout the whole last video. But now I realize the mistake of that. But rig number 6 has been 2 days stable, 13,000 accepted shares on KawPow. Don't tell anybody that you can mine KawPow in a 100-degree garage with gapped memory chips and be absolutely fine. Been doing that on these cards for many, many years. They're Micron, Samsung, and Hynix, TI, and Supers. So, well, let's do a spot check. What do we got? We're gonna burn these up with memory. I think that's the dogma. There you go, 43-degree memory chip. Let's try stuff out, please. It is worthwhile. And then that's just soloing to the dev wallet for Virus. I wanted to try that on the 10105. And let's see how it's been. So, played with threads a little bit. I didn't do much in voltage, and then from the meter at the wall, while GPU mining, once I would start the Virus algorithm, I can't remember if it was 30 or 40 watts we picked up. So, pretty tiny CPU, but we're going to turn all this off. Rig number 6. I'll keep telling myself so I'll remember. I'm going to shut this off and pull the 10 card EVGA rig out here and see if we can get some cards on there for my friend. Alright, well, we've turned off the heretical KawPow. I brought the 650 Pro Art out here. I did go ahead and go into Ryzen Master and clear all of the adjustments that I had made to get CPU mining. So those are at base. I am going to go into UEFI. I'm going to make sure that above 4G decoding is on. And then I'm going to plug one GPU at a time into our 4-way M.2 splitter, and we'll see what happens. So the setup here, this is both of these 5900Xs are run by the single 1600 watt power supply. I've disconnected the 8 pins and I disconnected the 24 pin splitter. I ran one 8 pin to here and the 24 pin to here, so this board now does control the on-off. So although all the cards are powering up, the motherboards never will. So I'm going to utilize the main board, which I call, what rig is this? So this is 1660A. That would be 1660B. And just go one at a time. So we'll see if we can multi on an M.2. Woohoo!
Okay, so I got into BIOS. Resizable bar was on, so I turned that off. And I noticed that audio controller was still on, which should have been off anyways. Above 4G was already on, and then I switched the iGPU to not switch. So that should lock it to integrated graphics, so we don't have to chase HDMIs. So I'm gonna let it boot, shut it down, put one card in, and see what happens. Okay, so I've got all four on. Just a generic clock. And I'm just testing, so put it on a lithium. So far stable. I don't see any issues. The discrepancy in that top card, so 3 of these are 1068s, and then one of them is a 1066. So that's the bad bin that was, I don't remember, a little bit cheaper at the time, but that was back when you couldn't even get cards really. So I think a few of these are from the lottery from EVGA. So anyways, I didn't really notice any difference. The only difference that stands out, you can see on the core clock that 1440 it's just very sloppy. It's not really locking in, but so not really sure what's up with that, and nor this glare. So let's give that an hour uptime, and we'll go from there. But I can see how it's a little more finicky than the AM4s for multi GPU, but 4 is working. I can't declare it's stable yet, but we could say 10 minutes stable. You know, well, 13 minutes, I guess. Time flies. So we'll let it go, and we'll see. We are in the garage. It is still pretty hot. So yeah, but that was on the 4-way. So I really like those for the compactness, and then that matched with the mini ATX size. That's a pretty clean and compact setup. So, all right, well, let's see how our stability is. About an hour in. Let's take a peek. See, there's some glare. That's free. I don't charge for that. Yeah. So an hour's not quite enough, but the pool side's a little low. So these OCs, the lock is a little bit sloppy. Those are at 1440. So I wanted to try something. Well, first I pulled up HWin. So I just pulled a data point from each individual GPU. So GPU power from one, clock from another, core voltage from one, clock for another. And so they're all pretty stable. I feel comfortable there. There could be, some transients, but so we're 98 to 100% on CUDA usage. But what I noticed is the effective clock. So that is interesting. So the clock is actually locked, but our effective clock is kind of bouncy. So one leftover from CPU mining. This was my my record breaker for RandomX. 183 is the best I've gotten so far, hash per watt. But we're not CPU mining right now, so I'm gonna switch it over to high performance, and let's see if that changes. Oh no. I am a terrible clicker today. um, yeah, so still, I mean, it's not a lot. So what would 10%, oh my goodness. Let's see. So 1440, we're 1448. So 10% would be 140, 1% would be 14, and we're dealing with 8. So we're dealing with about a half of a percent, which is small, but I am not used to that. AM4, you know, that locks hard. So this is an experiment. I am by no means an expert. I'm just a person in a garage that tinkers. But 1 hour stable, so we'll give it some more time, and I'm just going to leave it on high power, and see what happens. So 1 hour. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and restart this since we did the high power. I'm just gonna restart the miner, and we'll check back in another hour. All right. Well, it did run about 3.5 hours. After about 3.5 hours, it did drop one card, and the mining software restarted. All 4 cards picked back up, and it mined for about another hour. Everything was normal mining. The only thing that really gave it away was the uptime. I saw that it was an hour, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. Then I scrolled up and saw the crash. So, but it mined fine. It did stay around that 2200. Well, the drop there is where I actually turned off the computer. I went into UEFI again. I changed the second M2 slot to Gen 1 to cover the 4-way splitter. I preemptively changed all 3 PCI slots to Gen 1 for when we try the 4-way splitter next. What I noticed after going to Gen 1 is whereas before the lock clock was approximate, which I'd really never seen. I've been able to lock the clock on everything. So it does now lock. So I have pretty high hopes that that was probably something to do with it. Pure speculation at this point, but that little chiplet heatsink was extremely hot to the touch. Whereas now it's, I mean, I can just leave my finger there. It's no problem. So, I don't know if gen speed affected that, or the ambient did drop. It's nighttime, but that is noticeably cooler. So, all right. Well, we'll see what the morning looks like, but so far generally stable. But pretty sure that auto on the generation for the PCI lanes was the hold up there. So high hopes. We'll see. All right, back inside with our new hardware. I did have a BIOS update, so I had USB that, and it has just finished installing. So we're waiting on the reboot. See if we bricked it. Woohoo! All right, so I'm gonna install Windows 10. If you would like to pause it on one of these terrible shots from my subpar phone. This is kind of how I got here. This is on the Oris. I'm going to try to do the same for the gaming that we have. And, why is this so difficult? This is very stable. So I've ran that
quite some time and had no problems. So I'm going to try to get pretty close, and we'll go through how to maybe bring some of those down incrementally if you're experiencing crashes and you can't get these stable. So these are a little more extreme, and that's about the limits that you can go before you have to get into a Ryzen Master or into the BIOS itself. But, those are kind of the roadmap, and I'll have a max hash or boost clock, version of this soon. So right now I'm kind of focused on efficiency. That is the highest that I've gotten, but that's kind of extreme. So these are very stable and easy to get without within the board software and Windows. So I do feel free, or I feel comfortable, I should say, sharing those. They're generally pretty stable. But we'll get Windows and we'll find out for sure. So, woohoo! All right. Well, it's the next morning. So we've been overnight on 4 cars with Jen. I'm gonna relearn how to talk again. Gen 1 PCI lane and resizable bar is the only difference from yesterday when it did crash after about 3.5 hours. So overnight it did run 11 hours. How about that ping, baby? Woo! But the lock clock is very stable now. And I feel pretty comfortable with that. So I think that was the holdup for my friend. So he should be good now. But I will confirm that. Hashtag mining fam. You can put that on a shirt. That'd be beautiful. That would be beautiful. All right. Well, we're still kicking over here. Let's see, 9 in the morning, 96 degrees. Sounds about right. Good old Texas. All right. Well, I have a poor confession to make. When I ordered all these and bundled them, I forgot to put in a hard drive. I don't know if I thought I had another one lying around or what, but the only thing I have left is a SATA SSD, which I don't want a bunch of peripherals hanging out. So, unfortunately, I will not be able to tune that today. So, we'll see how the weekend goes. I do raise a family and all that, and I build custom vehicles, which is my main fiat income, and that has been very slow and slowing down even more since COVID. So, yay, recession. But anyhow, we're gonna get a hard drive at some point and compare that. So I will be a few days delayed. I know one person was waiting on those results, so I do sincerely apologize for that oversight, and as soon as I can get a hard drive, I will get you some more results. But we did solve one person's problems today, and we'll solve another person's inquiry very, very soon. God, that's a beautiful rig. All right, well, thank you all for hanging out with me on this crazy hobby that we enjoy, and I will do my best to help anybody that I can. Let's stick with that. Hashtag mining fam. I'll make some shirts. All right. Well, happy hashing, y'all. I wish you all the very best. I hope you're learning. I hope you're growing. I hope you're helping people. And I hope you're staying awesome. All the best, mining fam.